Welcome to this episode of What's Happening Waupaca. My name is Joni. Today we are talking about a topic that I think concerns us all and is something that's close to many of our hearts, and that is homelessness. So we're going to be talking to a whole bunch of people today, but we are starting with talking with Sandy Moore, who is with Mission of Hope House.
Hello.
And we are talking with Lisa Smith, who is with the United Way, the 211 Center.
Correct.
So welcome to both of you. Welcome.
Thank
to
you.
the show.
Thank you, welcome.
The first segment of our show today, we're going to be talking about some of the numbers of homelessness that I think are actually very shocking when we think of it. Now, but before we do that, we really need Lisa to have you explain to me and to all of us what 211 is.
Sure. Well, 211 is a dialing code. So it's a dialing code that's been established federally and also in the state of Wisconsin to connect a caller with live support to help them find health or human service resources. And again, it's a 24/7. We can handle any language. We do use translating services. And again, it's a person who can help them navigate through all of the resources that may or may not be available for them.
Okay, so if my house is on fire, I call 911.
That's correct.
If my husband kicks me out on the street, I call 211.
That's correct.
That's what the difference is.
Exactly.
And that's important to know, because I don't know that there's a whole lot of people, me included, that were aware that there was a 211.
Sure.
So I think that that's pretty neat. Now, you are the director of a 10-county United. Your office is a 10-county area, correct?
Correct. We're a 10-county call center located in Menasha for 211.
Okay.
We are part of the United Way, but there are also other funders who help support 211 in the state. So, but it is mainly a United Way program, United Way supported.
Okay. Now, the two of you brought along some Waupaca County statistics, because I think it's important to differentiate Waupaca County from the state of Wisconsin, because we're a very different community up here. And Waupaca is very rural.
Yes.
And I know that I have talked about the homelessness problem in Waupaca more than once, and the numbers never cease to amaze me. So let's start with you, Sandy.
Okay.
You're with Mission of Hope, of
Yes.
course. I said that. What do you do there?
I'm a grant writer for Mission of Hope House.
Okay.
So because it is a nonprofit, we need money to not only open, which we're doing later this month, but to sustain operations.
Okay. And that's grant writing is an important job.
Yes.
I know, for any nonprofit organization. So let's talk about some of the statistics that you have for Waupaca County as far as homelessness, which is almost impossible to even identify just because of the types of homelessness there are.
Sure.
But let's start with your poverty numbers, because you just gave me a number for what the survival income in Waupaca County is.
Right. According to a number of government agencies and surveys at 2014, so it's a couple years old, it takes $25.07 an hour, or $50,148, so just over $50,000 to support a family of four in this county. That includes not only housing, but childcare, food, transportation, miscellaneous items.
So that's the whole ball of wax.
Basically.
So that whole $7 or whatever minimum wage is more than adequate.
Not cutting it.
No, it really, which is why so many people that are working for minimum wage or slightly above are unable to make ends meet, even though they're working one or two jobs.
Right.
Now, how many calls did you guys have for the Waupaca County, New London area, just because New London is like half out of
Sure.
Gambia
No,
and
and
half
we
Waupaca?
do have it just for Waupaca County. In 2017, we had 253 calls.
Okay.
People who picked up the phone and called 211 looking for help with either finding a shelter or helping pay their rent, which, you know, as you talk about homelessness and things, if a person becomes evicted, it's very likely that they're going to need a shelter. Because, you know, if they're not able to pay their rent and they have an eviction notice, which is often the case, we consider them very close to being homeless. And so we want to prevent those things. Unfortunately, those 253 people had nowhere to go in Waupaca. And one of the gentlemen was a veteran. And so we worked tirelessly with that gentleman to try to find him some resources that would help him, at least temporarily. But that's not a long-term solution.
No.
Well, and none of there is really no long-term
Right,
solution here, because this is an ongoing problem. It has been around for hundreds of years. It will continue to be around. It's a matter of trying to move forward so
Right.
that in the future the numbers are less per thousand, or however you want to
Correct.
take a look at
Correct.
it. Were you going to add something?
I was just going to say that even in another study from United Way, they said that the availability and affordability of housing in our county is on a scale of 0 to 100, it's 53, which is fair. And so there's not even a lot of places that are available, then you take somebody working minimum wage, even 1 or 2 jobs, and it's definitely a serious situation.
It's tough. Yes, it is. I agree. Well, thank you gals both so very much for being on the show today. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go from these numbers that we're actually going to go into the awareness part of the show. But I think to be able to start with these numbers really is, it's shocking to me that there are so many people. I've always had, I've never had $1 million in the bank account, but I've always had a roof over my head.
Yes.
And that makes me count myself as one of
Yes,
the lucky ones.
Okay.
Absolutely. So thank you so much
you
for
very
coming on
much.
and
Thank
sharing.
you for your time.
You're welcome. Stay here for just a moment. You are watching What's Happening Waupaca. I am Joni. We'll be back in just a little bit to talk about the awareness of homelessness.
The Waupaca Recreation Center, featuring programming for all ages. Home of the Waupaca Senior Center and youth programming Friday and Saturday nights, featuring 2 full gyms and space for various sports and activities. Visit the Dance Exercise Studio for a variety of classes. The Rec Center is a safe place to hang out. Also featuring a computer lab and classes, and a meeting room and other facilities available for rent. The Rec Center features different programming and meetings, and is the home of the Parks and Recreation Office. The Waupaca Recreation Center, a great place for all ages and activities. 407 School Street, downtown Waupaca.
Welcome back to this episode of What's Happening Waupaca. We are focusing on homelessness today. We just were talking a little bit ago with Sandy and Lisa about the numbers, which for a rural community like Waupaca, I think are absolutely shocking. And not the first time I've heard those numbers either, and I still think they're very shocking. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a little bit about the awareness, but also the understanding. And that's what you called it, Erin, is understanding. So we have Erin Olson from CAP Services. We've seen you before. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be with you again.
And we have Rick Kinchy, who is with Community Impact and with the mission of Hope House.
That's correct.
So let's start with you, Erin. Talk to me about your poverty simulation and what that's going to do for me.
Okay. Well, I think the poverty simulation is about more than just homelessness. It's about recognizing what all low-income families experience. And so we know that not every low-income family is homeless. And so they may have a home that they struggle to afford. Certainly homelessness isn't always obvious. People might be staying with friends or family, even staying in a hotel. We don't have the kind of homelessness in our rural communities that you would expect to see in a big city where people are out on the street. And what the poverty simulation does is gives people an opportunity to walk in the shoes of a low-income family for a couple of hours, to step into the kinds of decisions that they need to make, to understand the resources that they have and don't have, and to acknowledge the difficulty of prioritizing.
So how do you do that? Because, I mean, I imagine, and I haven't done one of the poverty simulations, but I imagine sitting down and you say you have X amount of dollars to make it through the month, here are your bills, make it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We have community resource volunteers that are stationed at the simulation. And so they're just kind of around the perimeter of the room. The family members are going through and trying to pay their grocery bill, their utility bill. They're going to work. They're picking their kids up from school. So it's literally moving around a community space and trying to accomplish those goals and hopefully improve their family situation along the way.
Okay, so I'm watching us here today, and I want to take part in this. Is this something that is only for CAP people, or do I need a special invitation? Or
No.
can I call you up personally, Erin, and say, I want to do this?
You can call me up personally, but we're collaborating with Mission of Hope House and with Faith Community Church here in Waupaca to put on a simulation on September 29th. It's a Saturday. So from 9:30 to 12:30, you can sign up to be part of a simulation, either in that family role or as a community resource volunteer, and get to understand what it's like to live on a limited income for that time. So if you want to sign up, you can get in touch with the church. If you're hoping to be in a family role, that number is 715-258-8857. And if you're interested in being on the other side of the table in that community resource role, you can get in touch with Mission of Hope House at 920-249-4705.
Okay, and we will have that information on our website as well for that. So, okay, so we go from the poverty simulation, and I know that that can be very eye-opening to try to figure out how to make $400 stretch it to $650, and
Yeah.
I know that there are families that really truly have to do that kind of thing. So we move from that to an event that that is happening here in Waupaca on August 9th, Rick, and that is, it's very different, but I think it's as eye-opening. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're more like a one-day festival where you have the feeling of what it's like to be in poverty, but with us, it's more the face of poverty. So we're always rallying community resources like volunteers to be able to come, and what we really are doing is offering a day of dignity to our guests of honor, so our low-income families. And so we want them to have fun with our Kids Zone area so they can have a day of laughter with their kids. They don't have to worry about the stresses of their day. They get connected with community resources and health resources, free shoes and socks, some things that we just take for granted, but there's nothing better than when you have a fresh pair of socks on. Kids Zone, family photography, groceries, it's just a great celebration. So it's much more like a one-day festival.
So it's not so much that you're asking, and again, I use me as an example. I'm very low income. I'm maybe not homeless, but I'm certainly not making ends meet. It's not so much a shame-based, I need to come in and ask for help, so much as it is you're giving me a day off from
right.
my life as normal.
That's right, and many of the individuals in the community may never even know what's going on because it might be promoted in laundromats or through social services or other places, but it's just really a day of dignity.
That's pretty cool. August 9th is the date. So if I can't make it August 9th, I do know that there are other...
Correct. There's been them in Clintonville.
the-
It actually started in New London, where it was actually with the Prawl family, who experienced a convoy of hope in the Fox Cities, and we started that in New London after 2 years when it first started. That's when the community of New London came alongside and says, would you just walk with us for a year and listen? And one of the key themes that the community really was voicing was this family homelessness. So if I could, I just have a couple of stats here for you and your listeners, is the fact that in Clintonville, in the school district here in Clintonville, we have 25 homelessness families in the school year of 2016 to 17. In New London, it was 40 children. And right here in Waupaca School Districts, about 65 to 70 just last year. And that's number, and these are real numbers, and these are right here in Waupaca County Schools.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time we've touched on this subject on this show, and the numbers they're very shocking. So thanks for sharing those. Thank you, Erin, for being here and sharing the poverty simulation.
Absolutely.
It's on my list.
Good. I'll see you September 29th.
Wouldn't that be cool? It is on my list of things to do, because this is not the first time I've heard of that. And thank you, Rick, for being with us and sharing, and for a day of celebration. Of, and I like to giving people a day off from life as normal is very important. So you are watching What's Happening Waupaca. We are talking about homelessness today. We are coming back with a couple of new guests, and we are going to talk about the results and what can be done. We'll see you soon.
Whether enjoying a day of flying, group gatherings, one of 50 Cherokee Oshkosh or EAA professional pilots, supporting the community, our local businesses, aviation groups, and pilots of the future. We are the Waupaca Municipal Airport at Brunner Field.
Welcome back to this episode of What's Happening Waupaca. I am Joni. We are talking about homelessness today. We started talking about it as the numbers, which are shocking, and we're going to tie that in with you, Lori Prawl, in a few minutes. And then we went on to talk about how we can understand it from an intimate point of view, because there are very few of us, really truly, that have ever not had a roof over our head. We have roof. There's been days when we haven't had cars, or we haven't had food that we wanted to eat, but there's always been food for most of us. So now we are talking about the mission of Hope House, because this is where results are and where results are going to come in as you change and grow and actually get open. So we have Lori Prawl here, and we have Lori Chestnut. We have two Loris. This is going to be easy names for me to remember. So welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
Today.
Thank you.
So tell me, Lori, about what started your drive and your mission for the mission of Hope House.
Well, the vision really started through my daughter and our family, really attending Convoy of Hope in the Valley, and then bringing the Mission of Hope outreaches, the festivals to New London, Clintonville, and Waupaca. It really brought a lot of awareness. It really exposed needs. And really, after those outreaches, those one-day outreaches, when you have anywhere from 400 to 900 individuals coming from your own community, your neighbors, coming to these outreaches, and being able to have dialogue with them and have a greater understanding. When you leave those outreaches, it really pulls and tugs on your heart, and it says, you got to do something more. There are people hurting in our community, and what are we going to do about it?
So you built Hope, you built Mission of Hope, and Lori Chestnut, you are on the board of directors as well, and have been since the beginning. But Mission as Hope is it's a physical place in New London. Most people in New London know about it, but it's actually a building you have that's going to serve as a homeless shelter.
It's going to serve as a resource homeless shelter to families and individuals. We can house 21 individuals. There'll be a classroom. We are going to be collaborating with every entity of our community, from CAP services to Levin to the churches. So the collaboration piece is huge, and that's how we got as far as we did in less than 3 years. We have a building paid for. We're debt-free.
Yep. So
beautiful.
you have the ribbon cutting is on August 23rd, correct? So it really is, you were saying, it's very much a community-wide, it's an event, really, because it's something that people have been watching for and working toward for 3 years.
Right, it's a celebration.
Huge.
We're
celebration.
members of Waupaca Chamber of Commerce, New London Chamber of Commerce, and Clintonville Chamber of Commerce.
So-
The businesses, what they have done, the community, the churches.
And having the entire community involved in something like that is very important, I think.
It
because
is vital.
Everybody is touched. Everybody is touched by homelessness, whether we realize it or not.
Right.
Absolutely. So, your turn.
My
'Cause
turn.
I know that you have things to add to
To
this.
this, right. Well, I'm Lori Chestnut, and I am from Waupaca. Lori Prowl is from New London. Been there with Lori since the conception of this. This is the exciting moment for us because we've been 3 years of so many blessings and so much happening and so much volunteerism, so much support. So on August 23rd at 4 p.m., the Waupaca Area Chamber of Commerce, the New London, and also the Clintonville are going to be there
Right.
for the ribbon cutting. We'll also be having tours starting about 3:30 p.m.
Oh, that's pretty exciting.
Okay,
So
so-
once the ribbon cutting
Right.
is done, you're going to have tours.
Right. So we would like the public to come and enjoy the vision and the result and how excited we are to open this wonderful facility.
Fabulous. So if I miss the 23rd, then there will be other opportunities, and I
Right.
certainly am assuming that I'm welcome to come in and.
Yes,
Absolutely.
even before
Just
that
even
day,
before.
because I
So-
think people are going to be surprised once they enter this facility. I mean, it really is state of the art
Good.
with
Yep.
security, with metal detectors,
Fabulous.
and that trauma-informed touch for the individual
Well,
staying.
it certainly is important to understand the extent of homelessness and poverty, because as Erin pointed out so succinctly, you can have a home and still be so poverty riddled that you don't know which way to turn anymore. So
And one thing, just to piggyback
So-
onto that, there's 56% of Waupaca County that individuals and families that are on the verge, which means, something happening with their car, a medical concern. That's going to put
Yep.
them into, homelessness.
Right, exactly. So thanks, gals, for being here today. I appreciate your time. Very much look forward to hearing more about Mission of Hope as we go on. I know it's been an exciting thing. So thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Happening Waupaca. Homelessness really is something that we all are touched by on a daily basis, whether we realize it or not. We'll see you next time.